My life changed the most, not when I saved my first $100,000, but my first $10,000. Like really, my life got so much better in a ton of different ways. Let me explain. Why $10,000? First off, nothing magic happens when you go from 9,000 and it ticks over to 10,000, but something magic does kind of happen in your brain and also in a lot of circumstances in your life. At least it did for me. Like $99,000 and $100,000 seems very, very different. And the same thing with 9,000 and 10,000. When you add a zero, it just feels like you've unlocked a next level in your life. And I'm sure one day, you know, if I go from 99, 100, what am I saying? And I'm sure someday if I move into a million mark, it'll just seem like so much more, even though it doesn't really change anything. That being said, $10,000 actually does change a lot of things for you. It gives you more freedom, less stress, opens up more possibilities, can earn you more money, can save you money, and I'm going to explain all of that. It keeps you in ouch and away from boing. What does that mean? It means that like when you have an emergency in your life, you have, you know, something happens to your car, go to the emergency room, whatever happens, like random things happen all the time. Generally, those things cost somewhere between ouch and boing. It's a quote from something, I forget. But that being said, it doesn't put you into debt. This is like your initial emergency fund. This is the point where when I had an engine blow on my first Honda Civic, I was able to get the car fixed. Didn't really impact me a lot. It obviously cost a lot of money, but it wasn't like world ending. It wasn't a huge deal if I had a sick day. It wasn't a huge deal when negative things happen in my life. And I know when you're like paycheck to paycheck, at that point, small things can ruin your life for like months. If you only have $2,000 in the bank and you have a $5,000 emergency, which happens to most people like once a year or something, then that can literally ruin your finances for months. It can cause you stress. It can like just put you into bad debt that takes a while to get out of. So you actually get a lot of like peace of mind, and actually your finances are better when you have around $10,000, which is more expensive than most, you know, emergencies that are going to come up for most people. So that keeps you in that ouch range where, you know, but it doesn't destroy your life. You move from can I to should I. A lot of times when you don't have a lot of money, a lot of times you look at things when you go to buy them, whether it's, you know, a shirt, a car, a pair of shoes, whatever it is, you're like, can I afford this thing? And then you make a decision off of that. And this kind of brings it to should I afford this thing? And that's where, for me, a lot of things start to shift a little bit. And even as I've progressed in my life, I've seen most people who live paycheck to paycheck, they just ask, can I afford this thing? And that's a large reason why they stay living paycheck to paycheck. It's because they never move on to the should I afford this thing? Like right now, maybe I could afford to go out and buy a new car. Should I do that? Probably not. Generally a bad decision. But this is the point where I was actually able to make some different decisions based on this question. It was at this point where me and my wife started to travel a little bit because we realized that we could spend a few $1,000s, we travel very cheaply, to go on a trip, and it wouldn't ruin our finances. It wouldn't really stress them that much. And we asked, would this amount of money and missing out on this amount of work bring us more happiness than having this extra money in the bank? Instead of saying, can we afford it? Can we scrape things together? Can we work extra and do it? We just asked, will this money make us more happy as financial security, as paying for future bills, or will it make us more happy spending on things that are enjoyable? This was also when I first started to invest in clothes that actually fit me, because I have a really long torso and I've like never had clothes that fit me until literally this point in my life. I also started investing in higher quality coffee. Like I would always get the cheapest coffee possible at Aldi's. And then I was like, you know what? I can afford it, and it will make me more happy to spend an extra X amount per month to have coffee that I love, because I drink my coffee black and I like it to taste good. This is when I started investing into things that just made me happy and made my life easier and weren't just, can I afford this thing?
The past few months, I've been drinking Trade Coffee, which has been absolutely incredible. And that's why I partnered with them, and they're actually sponsoring this video. Trade is a specialty coffee marketplace that matches customers with the best coffee from roasters all across America. And as a bit of a coffee addict, it's become kind of like my one-stop shop for all things coffee. You can test some of these out by checking out their coffee subscriptions. So right now they have one that's like best sellers, so you can taste some of their best sellers. I've tried most of those. They also have like light roast, dark roast. So whatever you're into, they will recommend some for you. And that's actually one of my favorite parts about Trade, because I was getting coffee from other places before and you get like one or two options to choose from. And here there's like hundreds of options and they're so good. This one has notes of peanut and cashew brittle, which is like, this is absolutely amazing. And every new coffee I try from them is so so good. And yes, I do know that I talk about not spending money on subscriptions, but if you're anything like me and you drink coffee consistently, then that would be one of those subscriptions that makes sense because you're drinking it anyways. So it doesn't really matter if it's on a subscription plan. Just because that's cheaper doesn't make it a bad thing. And for me, this has been super, super fun because I just love experiencing new coffee, and this is so, so worth it for me. I get to try specialty coffees from all over the country that just show up at my door. I can try a new one, as often as I want. And it's not like stale, old, cheap coffee because every coffee is roasted to order and it ships to you within 48 hours. Honestly, give Trade a try and you can transform the way that you experience coffee at home, really up your game. They're actually offering your first bag for free when you visit drinktrade.com/Gabe and you subscribe. And on top of that, Trade guarantees that you will love your first bag, and if you don't, they will replace it for you. So what do you have to lose? You're gonna have amazing coffee, or you're gonna have amazing coffee. So drinktrade.com/Gabe, first bag free when you subscribe. Absolutely great stuff.
Confidence booster. The first time I saw $10,000 in my bank, it felt like I had unlocked a new level. It felt like all that saving and working extra and side hustles and all that stuff, it had finally paid off, and I had actually done something, and it was literally just adding a zero, but it's like a mental thing that's not really quantifiable. It doesn't make sense, but it just felt like I had more money. Especially when you look at 50% of Americans have less than $500 in their savings account. When I got to the point where I not only had enough money in my checking account to live on, but I also had $10,000 in a high interest savings account for emergencies, I felt like I was good. I felt like I could take risks. I felt like I had actually accomplished something, and it ended up making my finances better in a few different ways. For instance, the power to say no to more money. When you have a couple months worth of living expenses saved up like this, you can actually say no to more money. For me, this meant that I could actually not work extra, because before this I had a day job, multiple part-time jobs. I was doing, YouTube and real estate and a bunch of different things. And I realized that, it's okay for me to not work overtime, to take this weekend off, to, step down a little bit from one of these side hustles. And while I still worked a lot, it was because I was choosing to, not because I have to. And a lot of people, they have to work overtime. They have to pick up extra stuff. And when you don't have to do that and you can choose to do that, it just feels so much better. Even if it's the same amount of work, it just feels so much better. I would say it also helps with risk taking, because I was actually able to, like I said, earn a little bit less money, but also start investing into myself, invest into starting businesses that didn't make me any money for years. Like YouTube, I lost money for the first 2+ years, but I was able to take that risk. I was able to sink money and time into something that didn't earn me anything for the chance that it could pay off into something into the future. And most people don't have that option. If you don't have that cushion, you don't have the option to work for no money, to take a risk starting a business, to invest into a course, to go to a seminar, to fly, across the country for a job interview. If you don't have the options to do that because you don't have enough money saved up, then you could limit yourself in the future. You could limit your earning potential. And I know 10K is not some magic number, but it is around that gives you 2 to 3 months worth of living expenses, depending on what they are. And that is where I think a lot of real freedom starts to take place. And it's kind of like these different steps where you have this step to 10K, and then you have the steps to 100 and a million, and each one happens a lot faster. And this first 10K is definitely the hardest. First 100K is definitely the hardest. But as you move up the ladder to different levels, you actually unlock more opportunities just because you have that money sitting in the bank, because you can afford to fail more. Generally, the worst case scenario is a little less worse at that point. You actually start to save faster. Studies show that individuals with an emergency savings of $10,000 or more are able to save at a rate 30% faster than those with less. Now, some of that could just be, different circumstances. Now, some of that could just be because you're earning more or whatever it is. But for me, once I had saved up that amount of money, even though my earning didn't change at all, I continued to save faster and faster and faster, just because I kind of saw the results that when I was saving money, it was actually, leading to some type of result. And I could see the result in terms of an extra zero. And I wasn't having any of those negative things, the withdrawals, the late fees, any of those, to actually get a lot of the negative stuff stops happening to you as much the more money that you have. That's why when people say money won't buy happiness or money doesn't fix all your problems, no, but it does fix all the problems that you can fix with money, which is a lot of your problems. So having more money can make you happier because you have less bad stuff that can happen to you. It obviously is not the answer to anything. It won't make you happy as a person, but it can make a lot of problems go away, which is really nice. And it actually leads to like being healthier. At this point, I started investing not into only things like I talked about that, you know, made me a little happier or were a little more enjoyable or clothes that fit better, but also into my health. I got a more expensive gym membership that I was more likely to go to because it's like 30 seconds from my house. I started eating healthier food and actually investing into better quality foods that might cost a little bit more, but make me feel better every single day. I was able to, you know, Alexa, stop. Even like buying a quality mattress, we used to have the cheapest ones, and now we're actually able to get a more expensive mattress and sleep better every single night. All of these things that if you don't have extra money, you might be less likely to invest into your health because there's no immediate ROI on that, and you can't really see a tangible difference until you scale out and you realize like, oh, I haven't been to the doctor in 10 years because I really, you know, invest a lot into taking care of my health. Maybe I should go to the doctor at some point. And I guess that would be investing into my health. But I feel amazing. And a lot of that is because I, you know, spend more money and time and mental focus actually taking care of myself and not just, you know, surviving and doing the cheapest thing possible all the time. Now I want to talk about a couple of rules that helped me save that first 10K and then also maintain it and continue to grow it. The 10-1 rule. So this pretty much just states that for every $10 that you earn, you can spend one of those dollars on yourself. And this is pretty opposite to what a lot of other people teach, and yet not opposite to what a lot of people do. So most people will say the first thing that you should cut out to save money and get your first 10K is like no coffees, no enjoying yourself, no going out to dinner, stop going to the movies, all that type of stuff. But it turns out entertainment and like spending on yourself is generally about 5% of most people's budget. It's actually not gonna make a huge difference. It can be important to do for a time, but maybe only for a year or two while you're making progress towards whatever your goal is. But in general, if you can actually spend a little bit more on yourself and have that be not the first thing to go, but instead of focusing on higher things like maybe moving or, you know, getting an older car, earning more money, things like that, a lot of those will make more of an impact than cutting out the things that bring you the most enjoyment and happiness and stuff like that, and like stress relief in your life. Cutting out coffee should not be, I feel like I'm stressing this point a lot. It shouldn't be anything that gets mentioned anywhere along the process. Never give up coffee. I think I have an addiction. But pretty much you can gamify this in a few different ways, but you can use it that way, and you know that you spend 10% of your income on things that you enjoy, or like me, I personally donate 10% of it, or you can use it as a way to reward yourself. So if you save $100, you take $10 and you put it in a slushy fund that's designated for nothing but expensive coffee and pizza. Might not live long, but you really enjoy your life, or you can put that towards travel or whatever. And that kind of incentivizes you to really pay yourself first and invest into your future. Like every $1,000 that you invest into the stock market or you put into your savings account, you get to take $100 and go and enjoy yourself. And that makes that enjoyment completely guilt-free because you know that you have taken care of your future first. And that way you can enjoy this whole process of saving money. You can gamify this. You can gamify earning more and saving more because you get to, you know, spend more on things you enjoy, maybe travel more, whatever it is, and you never have to feel bad about that. And that's one of the things I love about, you know, saving more money and having that emergency fund is when you do go, you know, spend money on stuff or you have to travel somewhere or whatever. Well, for other people, it might be like, you know, kind of stressful and they have to worry about it and like, do I have money for this? Is it like whatever? For you, if you have 3 months worth of living expenses saved up, then it's not really a huge deal. And you can just ask like, do I want to actually do this? Or should I actually do this? And if you decide to, you can do it guilt-free because you know that you took that out of that 10% and not out of like your future. You didn't steal from yourself, you know, investing wise, you still have the emergency fund. You know that you're on the right track and you can spend that money guilt-free on things you can enjoy. You can enjoy that coffee and not have to worry about it. And that's a pretty good feeling. Now, if you want to see how to save 10K fast, you can click on this video right here. Very, very good. And it's a step-by-step process of things and other things. Yeah.